You know what's true about this world? We like to celebrate flashy things. But what about courage? What about bravery? What about suffering? This is the place we give credit to what often goes unseen. This is the place we honor choosing grit.
Ready?
No. Hi, everyone. So, this may be perhaps the most unpolished, least polished podcast episode ever. I've done zero prep for this episode. However, I feel a need to hop on here because I know that the holidays in general can be a season that calls for a particular amount of grit, especially if you are someone who's going through something hard at this time. 2 years ago, today, I launched this podcast. I was planning to wait until the new year, but decided to share my first episode ever right before Christmas because of this reason. Because of the way that sometimes these big gatherings and celebrations and expectations for this season just make us want to wish away any sufferings we have and have a way of highlighting the areas we're struggling. So, like I said, did not do any planning for this, but I just want to share off the cuff a few things that I know have helped me, and this is going to be very brief, but here we go. First of all, so I'm going to talk specifically about my experiences with physical suffering, particularly in the form of chronic migraine, also having a weird body in other ways, but kind of that, and then the complications of that and the impacts that it's had on my life. So here's why for me this time can be an extra challenge. Christmas and the holidays are generally when you see people that you haven't seen in a while, right? And everybody wants to know what is new in your life. That question, I ask that all the time. I don't think it's a bad question. It's something you want to know, something you often ask to people that you haven't seen. And in my case, sometimes with family, for example, who I haven't seen, it's especially hard because I'm struggling physically in a way that's really greatly affecting my health. And when people ask me how I'm doing, to be 100% honest, my answer does include some sort of working through this cross and this aspect of my life related to health issues. And that answer has been the same for now 10 Christmases in a row. That doesn't mean that I'm sharing that I hate my life. It doesn't mean that I'm sharing that I'm depressed. But this hard thing is still there. And the reason it's most difficult for me is because I feel like I want to be able to share and tell people that this year it's not a thing. This year is the year that I found a way to conquer it, and conquer it in the sense of that word meaning, that it's gone away. And because that's the news we like to share, right? But it's just not true. And I think what's difficult is because this is completely my perception of it, but I think that can be something that's hard to respond to when someone shares, oh, nope, it's still there, just like it was last year. And in my case, if your measure of success is based on whether or not I have a headache, there's zero improvement. If you look a little deeper, it's there. But yeah, kind of in the simple explanation, I guess, my answer is that the struggle's still there. So what helps me get through that? Honestly, to be honest, I haven't found an answer that makes that any easier. So I think just trusting that honesty is, even if it's like not received, whatever, just I've found that, like, again, this is one of the reasons this whole podcast exists, but I think rather than seeing like somebody asking you how you're doing as a threat, or seeing it as a question that you want to avoid, for me, what's helped is to see that question as an opportunity for connection, obviously. I mean, I guess that's pretty obvious because when someone asks how you're doing, like, that's the goal, right? Is to connect. But to really genuinely see that as an opportunity to share vulnerably with someone who cares about you. Maybe not in a way that you're seeking pity. Definitely not in a way that you're seeking pity, but in a way that you are allowing the person on the other end to maybe also admit and not feel a need to sugarcoat their lives like we like to do at during the holiday season. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So seeing it as an opportunity for somebody to let down their guard and for real connection to occur in a way that really does like make you really appreciate the times I've done that, and just like so appreciate, especially with my immediate family. I feel like that can really be an opportunity to really share with them. Holidays are great for like those real updates on one another's lives, you know? So that's a very simple thing, but just sort of flipping the script a little bit, or having a little bit of a shift in perspective of, like intentionally seeing family, entering these holiday celebrations with the intention of making space for people to be themselves, because we all need that, right? And that's why holiday gatherings can be so good. If that's why they have the potential to be so good. This often doesn't happen, but imagine if like we could leave this holiday season feeling less alone and more supported by our families, who in a perfect world are some of the people we're most connected to. I might just keep it at that. If you're someone who has health issues, don't feel pressure to get up early ever. Like, find a quiet place to sleep in if possible. And I guess I'm really blessed in that way that like my family knows I need a bed and knows I need somewhere I can sleep. And my parents have a good amount of bedrooms and space to do that. I'm like, I honestly feel privileged in that way. But to the best of your ability, if you, especially, like I said, are a chronic illness or a spoonie, make space and be really intentional about rest. Don't try to be with people all the time. Try to fully be with people when you can, and rather than like being with people while exhausted for everything. Pick times you want to choose to be as present as you can, even if I mean, honestly, I've had times where like I've showed up to our biggest family party with like a ton of extended family, and I've left after like an hour. But I tried as much as I could to really be present for that hour. And dang it, I had another great thought. I just had it. I think also something I am going to be really intentional about the next few days is to cut out all the other things that tend to take our energy and can be such a distraction away from what really matters at this time. For example, I am going to put my phone as far away as possible, and I'm like making a commitment to not look at social media for a while. I mean, my goal is to New Year's, but we'll see. And I don't know, any other, like, this is at least for Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, don't think about work. Ideally for the day after Christmas as well, or maybe more than that if you are able to take off work. Like, really be intentional, even if it's just for Christmas Day, to not think about your job and not do any work or any work-related calls. Don't look at your email. Just try to cut out distractions, other energy suckers. I know that for a couple of days I'm going to not worry, give myself a break from worrying about exercise. I will try to stick to my strengthening exercises because those take like 10 minutes. But usually that's really a part of my routine now, at least, praise God, to get some form of movement in. And I'm sure that will still happen with my family, but not just kind of let go of my that discipline for a couple of days and just let it happen if it happens. And then I guess to be very practical and to share like a very specific health issue technique, I have saved up extra Tylenol and medication to be able to take for the next couple of days. And then also I've worked in some days of recovery. So those are a few things that I think about coming into these times that that really do help me. And I suppose, don't be afraid to share. Don't feel a pressure to share as well. I think that is something that has been helpful for me too. Like, I don't have to, depending on like my relationship with people, I don't have to share everything. Lastly, somewhat related to that, ultimately seeing this as a time to love on my family and the people in my life as much as possible, to pour into my nieces and nephews and maybe give their parents a break, and to use, for example, my singleness in this season, which is, there's like a zillion Hallmark movies on being single during the holidays, because it's a challenge. It can really be a challenge. So seeing that as an opportunity actually to serve my nieces and nephews more, or my family more. And then obviously, finally, ultimately striving for it to be a time to celebrate who God is and the fact that He is with us, and that God with us is not only God with us when we're happy. It's God with us wherever we are, so much that He was willing to become an infant, completely dependent on God's grace and others around Him, who wasn't afraid to be weak, clearly, and who somehow saw that weakness as an opportunity to grow in relationship, and simply being without trying to prove. Just don't try to prove anything this holiday, because we don't have to, Clearly, our worth is proven in the sense that we have a human God who understands us fully. Is someone above me taking a bath? Another perk of being with family is total silence can be very rare. And I also think just share with your family, share with whoever you see, something that you are enjoying, something you're taking delight in right now, just one thing that you're loving. Honestly, I just got a haircut, and I genuinely thought about sharing that as an answer. This year I don't really anticipate too many of hard conversations in this way, but because of just primarily seeing family I'm like really close to, but sharing that you just got a new haircut, or I don't know, making a joke in that way is totally acceptable. Or sharing a good book you've read recently, sharing a day at the park you enjoyed, a trip you made, a friendship that you're appreciating. There's, even when there aren't major things that we like to share, there are often things, there are often simple things that we can share that don't always get asked about and might not always seem as interesting, but really have just as much meaning if they are just as worth sharing, if they're truly bringing us joy. Okay, I'm going to stop now, and really that's the heart of it, right? Hopefully the hope that this season can be one that really deepens our joy, and one that really genuinely makes us want to celebrate and have parties and give each other gifts, etc., etc. So please take care of yourself and know you're not alone. And Merry Christmas. God bless.